right? So essentially, it's about the moon. You know how if they ask who's the first man on the moon, right? You'd be like I've forgotten his name, but it's like an American. They went on Apollo 13, this Apollo mission, and then they landed on the moon. Neil Armstrong, I think, right? Right, and then so they always told me that it's actually Neil Armstrong that was the first man on the moon, and it was actually Jesus. Crazy, right? Okay, let me break it down. So, in the Bible, yeah, there's this very there are a lot of weird things in the Bible, like I always say, but this one is also chief among the weird things. So the Bible talks about Jesus being tempted by the devil. He fasted for 40 days and he was tempted by the devil. And the devil gave him 3 temptations. Now, the third temptation was that the Bible says he took Jesus to a very high place. Then he showed him all the kingdoms of the world. And then he told Jesus to bow down for him. And then he would give Jesus all the kingdoms of the world. And Jesus was like, it is written. So, those people was like, okay. So the question was, so the 4 gospels say, some gospels say it took Jesus to a very high place. And then there's one gospel that says it took Jesus to the top of a mountain. So the question is, which mountain on earth is high enough for you to see all the kingdoms of the earth? Now, you can't say, oh, that statement is metaphorical because he said high place. It was metaphorical. They wouldn't have to include high place. They would just have said the devil showed Jesus all the kingdoms of the earth. No, he said he took him to a high place. So it was physical. This is 100% physical, right? Okay, cool. So the question is, which place is high enough to see all the kingdoms of the earth? So to answer that question, I think the first thing would be, what are all the kingdoms of the earth? That is how I researched it. So I thought to myself, what are all the kingdoms of the earth? So I discovered that all the kingdoms of the earth at that time, most of them were in where the region we would call the Middle East now, at least according to the Bible. Yeah, so it would have been Rome, Greece, Babylon, Egypt-ish. It was already, the new kingdom was already like waning really bad. So Egypt-ish, all those kingdoms in that spot, right? In that angle, right? So which mountain will be high enough, or which point on earth will be high enough for you to see all of them in one snapshot, right? So I started thinking about it, and in my head I thought, oh, maybe it's space. Maybe he took Jesus to space, and then he showed Jesus. So I was like, maybe first of all, I thought maybe Everest. If you stood on Everest, Everest was in our region. If you stood on it, would you see all this